One love to the humble. One love to the humble. One love to the humble. May grace and peace be multiplied unto you. I hope everything is going well in your life. And if it's not going well, I hope that it goes well very soon. We all facing troubles and hard times, but remember, hard times don't last always. You know what I mean? It's going to eventually pass and everything will start getting better for you. Life is a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down. You can have your ups, you can have your downs. But as long as you stay focused, you're going to be all right. You know what I mean? I got a video request from the good brother Trey Day. And this video request is about Trump. Trump going into sending the National Guard into Democratic states is basically what it is. It's Trump sending the National Guard into Democratic states. And would that help the crime? Well, honestly, it just depends on how they use the National Guard, and what they're allowed to do and not do, determining whether it stop the crime. Now, if you put them on the streets 24/7, I believe it will stop the crime. And if you're giving them permission to do what you allow policemen to do and let them just have free reign to do what they got to do, then yeah, it'll stop the crime for sure. Because a lot of people think that people that's on the streets and people that's shooting and running on the streets, like they somehow gonna have some type of advantage. They're not gonna have an advantage on the National Guard. Now, I'm not dissing the National Guard because the National Guard is a little bit different than active duty soldiers, than active duty military. There's a difference between the National Guard and active duty military. Now, don't get me wrong, the National Guard, some National Guardsmen have deployed with military personnel, with active duty military personnel, so they kind of know what it's like on the real deal. But then some of the National Guard hasn't seen that, so they do it like 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year. But that doesn't mean that they don't know, they're not trained, and it doesn't mean that they don't know how to handle business, because they do. But I'm just saying that it's still a street person, a person who just run the streets, shoot them up on the streets, is still not prepared to deal with even a National Guard soldier. They're not prepared to deal with that. If you was to turn them loose and let them really run rampant, they'll put a stop on the crime. If you really wanted to see some real serious stopping on the crime, take an active duty soldier, active duty infantry battalion, and put them on the streets. And I guarantee you, and you let them run wild and do what they know how to do, their crime will be ended in no time. But it ain't that serious. Those guys who are doing all this shooting on the streets, they're not really on that type of level. It'd be an overkill, so it wouldn't even be right. Plus, that's not what active duty soldiers do. They don't deal with state issues. They deal with real world situations, for the United States. But the National Guard, that's their job, to go into these cities and do like those type of things, humanitarian missions. Like if there's a flood, they go in, help out with the flood damage, help rescue people, things like that. So them sending the National Guard in is nothing to be alarmed about. That's what National Guards do. That's their job. But it will stop crime, because if they leave people out there 24/7, it will deter people from committing crime and doing all the crazy stuff, in my opinion. Now, if the people who commit crime decide they want to get into a shootout or something like that with them, they're going to lose. It's not going to be a good situation, because they don't got that much armor, nor do they have that much firepower to withstand what the National Guard can do. The National Guard going to have unlimited access to ammunition, unlimited access to personnel, unlimited access to weapons, unlimited access. They never going to run out. They'll never run out of ammunition. They'll never run out of weapons. They'll never run out of people. The streets will. That neighborhood will. And they saying they put them in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and they said especially Chicago. If you want to stop crime, send them in there. And people think like, oh, these guys these people that's doing all this crime, and all this killing, they're gonna just be able to wipe out the National Guard. No, they're not. They're not gonna be able to do it. It's simple. Simply by the simple numbers game, they wouldn't win. And these democratic cities that had this overwhelming amount of crime, these are usually because black people and certain type of white people are voting this way. They're voting the Democratic vote. And when Democrats come into office, they tend to have more of a relaxed view on crime because they want to keep the black vote. And see, black people, what we look at is we don't really look at our people as criminals. We just look at them as somebody who got done wrong by the system. And that's been our downfall for a long time. We don't see criminals as we should. The only time we really see criminals as we should is when is our family that's got criminalized. It's something bad happened to our family. Now we all of a sudden wake up and start looking at criminals for what they are. But as long as they don't hit home, we don't call them criminals. We want to protect them. We want to look out for them. That's our culture, right? Don't talk to the police. Don't tell on so and so. That one family member you got that's always doing the wrong thing, and grandma always protecting them because the grandma's son. That one uncle you don't want to be by yourself with, and the one uncle you don't want to leave your kids around, but nobody ain't gonna say nothing to him. That uncle, the one grandma keeps saving because he live at grandma's house sometimes because he ain't got nowhere to go. When his girlfriend kick him out, he go come back to grandma's house. That uncle. See that spread. That's widespread in our community. We don't hold people to the standard. We can't tell on so and so. We can't do the right thing. When we start weeding out all of these criminals and outcasting them from the family and stop supporting them and stop treating them like they done nothing wrong, then we'll start seeing some change. We just put them out there to dry where they belong because they messing up the whole neighborhood and the community. But if you put the National Guard in there, I can guarantee you that stuff will stop. And it wouldn't be a nice thing to see because no matter how many gang members you got, you ain't gonna be able to outgang the National Guard or the United States military at all. You're not gonna be able to outgang them. And it's a sheer numbers game because even if you even if this was causing some damage, they still would run out of people before the National Guard does. They're gonna have unlimited personnel to send in there. And when the gang members or whoever committing crimes ammunition get low, they're not gonna be able to get a resupply as quick as the National Guard would. They're gonna keep that stuff flowing, and they're gonna bring out the big guns, the real big guns, not the ones that people on the street got. I'm talking about some real ones. You think what they got on the street, or they got some switches on there, and they got what you think is some serious AR-15s, 223s, and all that. You ain't seen no guns until you seen the ones the Army got. When they start bringing out them type of guns, it's gonna be a different story. So the bottom line is this: if they put them National Guard in those areas, the crime will go down, and it will go down quickly. That's what you're gonna see. And the Democratic states are gonna get better. They're gonna either be embarrassed because the president had to send in the National Guard, or they're gonna just tighten down themselves. Either way, the crime gonna stop. They send the National Guard in there, it's gonna stop. I put money on it. All right, y'all take care.